Welcome back to the Literary Kitchen today. We'll be looking at Jack Kerouac's On the Road, the famous novel of the Beat Generation, and how Sal Paradise, the protagonist, seems to be eating his way through the United States.
Yeah, and this is a novel of the Beat Generation, so it was written the beginning of the 1950s. It's about some journeys that Jack Kerouac took in the 1940s. And the protagonist of the novel is called Sal Paradise. He's the narrator, and he travels across America quite a few times, often with his friend Dean Moriarty. And they talk about their journeys as being not going to get somewhere, but just going for the sake of it, which is really the essence of the novel.
Yes, so just going, but obviously every good journey needs fuel.
Yes, of
And
course.
so for Sal Paradise and Dean Moriarty, that's definitely the various types of food that they encounter through the United States that fuels their journey. So there are various mentions of different types of food throughout the novel. But one of the very early dishes that Sal Paradise eats is apple pie and ice cream, which is...
Oh, I love apple pie.
Yes, I love it too. Who doesn't? But obviously it's quintessentially American, and Sal Paradise says that he eats apple pies and ice cream, and that's practically all he had all the way across the country. And he knew it was nutritious and it was delicious, of course.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure that it's as nutritious as he says it is. But
Well, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, right?
So they say, yes.
But so obviously he has apples, but it's definitely, so obviously the nutrition comes from the sugars, and obviously that keeps him going in his journey. But obviously it's being delicious and resonates with the hedonism of the novel, so having to satisfy one's senses at least.
Yeah, and it's the idea of finding raw life, which is how Sal describes it at one point, of living life to the full and experiencing everything that they can. And this is really exemplified in the character of Dean, who absolutely loves food. I've just got a quotation here in which Sal is describing Dean, and he says that Dean just raced in society, eager for bread or love. He didn't care one way or the other. And then Dean says, so long as we can eat. I'm hungry, I'm starving, let's eat right now. And this is Dean, just kind of seizing life and, getting as much out of it as he can.
So the recipe we chose to make from On the Road is actually a very, very simple Tex-Mex recipe, which is tortilla and beans, which we have interpreted as a more of a modern bean fajita. It's very easy to make.
Incredibly easy.
Yeah, so we've made the tortillas from the scratch, as we will show you in the second part of our video. And then we just threw in some more vegetables and tomato sauce with the beans and just fry them. So.
And we use kidney beans rather than pinto beans, because pinto beans are a bit difficult to find in the UK. But go ahead and use them if you're in the United States.
Definitely. And it's, again, a very poor dish as well. Like, it's very, very sort of down to earth. And beans do appear in the novel quite a few times, sometimes accompanied by pork chops or frankfurters. So again, very, very simple, but useful to fuel Sal Paradise journey throughout the US.
This is the rise of Tex-Mex food, which was coming into the United States in the 1950s. It didn't become mainstream until about the 1970s. But at this point there's a lot of Hispanic influences and Mexican influences, which Sal Paradise is really interested in. Yeah,
he always seems to want to blend in with various communities in the United States. So there are moments when he says, for instance, that he really wants to be an Afro-American, and there's another moment where he's with his Mexican girlfriend, and they think he's a Mexican too, and he's quite pleased with that.
Yeah, he certainly is. And of course, he also contrasts the tortillas and the beans with Sunday roast. He's very scathing, isn't he, about the Sunday roast, which would be carved by the father. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but he interprets that as being quite a conventional, down-to-earth way of living, whereas what he wants is excitement, to be travelling all the time.
Yeah, so if you think of it, obviously, like, Sunday roast represents their family routine, and the carving of the Sunday roast is, again, a topical moment in the sort of Anglo-American tradition. And whereas tortillas are just, you put some beans in it, and then you just wrap them up and you just eat them. So obviously you don't even need cutlery, which is quite telling of their, obviously there being a quick fix, and also being how they're messy to eat. So it could be, again, the first celebration of American fast food in the history of literature, tortillas.
Yeah, and the other important thing about them is the mess that they create. I mean, Sal Paradise talks about them eating a mess of tortillas, and there's this kind of enjoyment of a just hedonistic pleasure in consumption, which can be interpreted in a variety of different ways. But of course, we'll be looking at beans again in the future, won't we?
Yes, so we'll also be looking at, so we've seen the American beans, but we'll also be looking at Asian beans, and so we'll have a guest blogger talking about azuki beans and jelly beans, and how you can make jelly beans with actual beans, which was quite discovery. And so we'll be making amanato, which are Japanese jelly beans. So
I was amazed that you could make jelly beans at home, but we will give you the recipe for it. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.
See you. Bye.
Bye. So I have mixed together bread flour, yeast, salt, sugar, a bit of oil and water, and I've brought the dough together, as you can see. So I'm going to start kneading it. Kneading, for those of you who haven't done it before, is much easier than you might think. The point is to work the flour so that the gluten develops, and to try and fold some air into it. So there are different techniques for kneading, and you can basically just play around to try and find one that suits you. So you can stretch it out, fold it back, turn it over, stretch out again. You can do the two-handed method, or sometimes I alternate my hands, but find one that suits you. As long as you do it for 5 to 10 minutes and the dough comes together and it's nice and silky and soft at the end, then it's fine. So I've kneaded it for 5 to 10 minutes, and as you can see, the texture has changed slightly. It's become less sticky. If you hold it up to the light and stretch it out, it should make a window pane effect, and that's how you know that you're finished. So I'm going to put it in the mixing bowl, cover it with a damp tea towel, or you can use cling film, and we'll leave it for an hour in a warm place to rise, and then after that it's time to cook it. So now we're making the filling for the tortillas. In this saucepan I'm frying up some garlic and some onions in a little bit of oil. Now in the book they heat up their beans in a tin on top of an iron which has been turned upside down, but we're doing it a bit more conventionally with the saucepan. So I'm going to add in the vegetables. We've got some carrot, pepper and tomatoes. We also have some mushrooms which I'm going to put in. And of course the most important ingredient, beans. Now we've used kidney beans, they use pinto beans in the book, but they're a little bit difficult to find in the UK. So stir it all in. Add some chopped tomatoes. And for flavouring, We have a little bit of cayenne chili pepper. Not too much, of course, because it's quite potent. Tiny bit of nutmeg. Oops. Again, not too much of it. Oregano. And a little bit of salt. So I'm going to leave this to simmer for a while we fry up the tortillas. So we left the dough to rise for 2 hours, and then we knocked the air out of it and have divided it into sections, which are about 60 or 70 grams each, although we didn't actually weigh them. And now I've rolled them out and shaped them into a roughly circular shape, although it's quite difficult to get it perfect with homemade tortillas. And as you can see here, I've put one in the pan already. You can see the air bubbles rising, and I'll just flip it over. It should be nice and brown when it's done. So it should only take a few minutes in the pan and cook it on both sides. Hello, welcome to the literary kitchen.
Yeah.
I'll move this way then.
Okay. So
I'm going to try not to look anxious.
no. Welcome to. Well, sorry.
Not again.
No, because I didn't say welcome back.
Yeah. Okay.
Welcome back to the literary kitchen today. We'll be discussing Jack.